The supreme, profound, and sublime Dharma is difficult to encounter in a billion eons. Now I see it, hear it, receive it, and capture it. I vow to attain the true meaning of the Tathagata. In order to liberate all sentient beings, let us generate supreme bodhicitta.
Now let us continue with our class on a journey to the West. There are 10 stops in total, and currently we are studying the content included in the 4th stop. There are lots of content and teachings included in this stop, but we won't be able to finish all of them this year. Right now we are going to study Chetsun Nyingtig, which is really profound, and usually it is not open to such a wide audience. And this year we're going to cover the preliminary part of it. We're going to cover part of it. And there are lots of profound practices and instructions within these teachings. So as I said in the preface, I hope all of you who wish to study and practice, you have to receive the appropriate supreme Vajrayana empowerment first. I also required that to all the Tibetan practitioners as well. But I thought to myself, if I don't give you the teachings right now, then some of you may not be able to have the opportunity to receive it. So, though that many of you who have not received the appropriate empowerment, you can still get the books, but in order to practice it, you have to receive the appropriate empowerment first. This is really important. Now that you only read a part of it and all that is fine, is not to keep that much of a secrecy, but this time is a little bit different. Well, Pontsogro Rinpoche had given the teachings at Lincoln Theatre, and the local Sangha required Pontsogro Rinpoche to give teachings on Chetsun Nyingtig, and he didn't give the extensive teachings on Chetsun Nyingtig very often in Tibet at all. Actually, he very rarely gave the teachings of Chetsun Nyingtig in Tibet. So out of all the commentaries and teachings given by Pontsogro Rinpoche, this is the only one that's available on Chetsun Nyingtig, so you should really cherish it. Let's take a look at the teaching. In the earlier translation school of Ngagyur Nyingma, there are 2 ways of explaining the great perfection teachings, the profound kusali approach and the extensive pandita approach. Now, the 2 mother Nyingtig and 2 child Nyingtig texts follow the style of the profound kusali approach. Now, Pontsogro Rinpoche will explain from the profound kusali approach. Regarding the extensive pandita approach, there are the mother texts that are referred to as the 17 tantras of the quintessential sacred heart essence cycle, plus the Wrathful Black Mother Tantra and the Blazing Clear Expanse Tantra, which then comes to 19 tantras in total. When it comes to the explanation of these tantras, it is not through the original words of the Buddha Vajradhara, but the pith instructions of the great vidyadharas, and these explanations are referred to as the texts of the heirs. When we look at these terminologies, I think many of the Sangha members over here probably have never heard of them even. In the extensive pandita approach, both mother and child texts are well explained as the fundamental texts, and then together with the special words and instructions of the Guru as the supplement. Good examples of this would be the 17 Treasures and Trilogy of Restc compiled by Omniscient Longchenpa. Well, I have not completed the translation of all the 7 treasures. I made the aspiration to complete the translation of the 7 treasures into Chinese language within my lifetime, but I'm really not sure if this is possible. However, when it comes to the Trilogy of Rest, I have already completed it. I also wish to translate Yuntenzo, the treasury of precious qualities, but it is really difficult. It's very difficult to understand. So when it comes to the translation of the 2nd chapter, I had to put a pause to it, because the teaching given by Nyingma Rinpa is rather very difficult. The metaphors and all that are very difficult. I think the text is available in English, though. The commentary I chose on Yuntenzo is also very difficult as well. So I've spent a long time and tried very hard to translate it. However, I think I'm going to put a pause to it and take a break from it. After translating for so many years, this is my first time encountering such a difficult text. So let me take a break and then maybe we'll see. The hidden meaning of Padmasambhava are primarily elucidated through all the various Dharma teachings revealed by 100 great Turtles and many other ones. Although Padmasambhava and 25 disciples, including the king and the ministers, the guru, was most satisfied by the 3 great disciples, the great Khandro Yeshe Tsogyo and the great Dharma king Chetsun Nyingtig, and then Nanam Dorje Dudrum. In particular, Nanam Dorje Dudrum was Guru Rinpoche's most favorite and outstanding disciple, surpassing even the great Dharma king Chetsun Nyingtig. For this reason, the treasure teachings on the great perfection revealed by the subsequent reincarnation of Nanam Dorje Dudrum are more profound and complete than any other Dharma revelations. The auspicious origination created by disciples are really important when it comes to relating to the Guru. So not only that the disciple will accomplish in their lifetime, but in even the future incarnations, they would still receive great blessings as well. So it is quite important to please the Lama. So the activities of benefiting sentient beings will be very different and unique. And then Phuntsok Rinpoche given an example. To name a few, there are the Great Perfection Tantra, Unimpeded Wisdom Intent of Samadabhadra, which I'm not sure if you've received the empowerment this year, but I think you received the Profound Ati Nyingtig this year. This one is reviewed by Rinzin Godam, and Wisdom Bindu reviewed by the great Turton Lerab Limpa, which is already translated into Chinese language already. I have translated into a draft and proofread it a few times, but I don't have the final text yet. I don't have the final translation yet. In terms of my translation, I really feel that the translation, there are so many difficulties within different kinds of translations. But when it comes to this particular book, maybe because of the blessings and permission from the 3 jewels and the Phuntsok Rinpoche, it's been translated and written within 3 months. I think when you look at this text just in Tibetan language and then translate it into Chinese language to complete the whole project within 2 to 3 months of time is rather very unthinkable. Because I wasn't, even you were to copy it down, it would be very difficult. Don't even mention to put it into words and then translate it from Tibetan language into Chinese, and I didn't have that many people to help me either. write it word to word and translate it word to word. It's rather very difficult. But when I compare the translation of this project to the other projects, for example, the Wisdom Bindu, I've already translated and proofread it a few times, but it's still rather very difficult. So Phuntsui Rinpoche over here said that, so what will I be teaching at this time? It is Chetsun Nyingtig, the text that summarizes the key points of Padmasambhava's pith instructions as its essence and follows the teaching system of great Pandita Vimalamitra as its approach. Well, in terms of Chetsun Nyingtig, in fact, those are the teachings given by great Pandita Vimalamitra, and then the teachings given by Longchenpa were mostly teachings given by Padmasambhava. Now, in terms of Lama Nyingtig, which are compiled teachings given by Vimalamitra, and in our tradition, the closest transmission and the teachings that we cherish are Chetsun Nyingtig. So, Longchen Nyingtig are the teachings, the most pith instructions of Padmasambhava, and Chetsun Nyingtig are the teachings and the great blessings passed down by Vimalamitra. That is why Chetsun Nyingtig is so well known. Now, the origin of Chetsun Nyingtig is as follows. 282 years after Vimalamitra departed in his rainbow body to Mount Ruta, he appeared to Chetsun Sengi Wantruk. Now, Chetsun Sengi Wantruk, you can look him up in the history of Nyingma Buddhism. You will be able to find more of his stories over there. Now, personally accepted him as his disciple and transmitted all his empowerments and instructions to him. The great Chetsun did not attain ultimate realization until the age of 75. However, after his enlightenment, he did not encounter suitable disciples. Thus, he stayed in this world for a long time until the age of 125. Eventually, he demonstrated nirvana. His body dissolved into a mass of light, and then he transformed into a rainbow body. Through the supplication of Pogilodro and other Dakinis, he appeared in his rainbow light body and gave the Chetsun Nyingtig instruction to the Dakinis. This teaching was then taken by the Dakinis to their own realms and then temporarily disappeared from the human realm. Later, Jangyan Khyentse Wangpo, the holder of 7 special qualities of transmission in the land of Tibet, reviewed this teaching through the recollection of his previous life as Chetsun Sengi Wantruk. Well, whenever you have time, I think you should read into the history of the Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism, and then look at his date of, or his year of passing into parinirvana. In terms of Jangyan Khyentse Wangpo, you can look at how he is revered and also considered as the lineage holder of the 6 or 7 or 8 or 5 different schools, because there are different ways of counting it. And Jangyan Khyentse Wangpo, let it be Sakya Gelugpa and Kagyupa, he's very well versed and proficient in all of the teachings within the different schools. Also, he's well versed in all kinds of Terma teachings as well. And he is the root guru of Mipa Rinpoche. Through the recollection of Jangyan Khyentse Wangpo, he then reviewed this Terma again. This teaching has 3 sections of pith instructions. The first section includes the empowerment and then can bring those whose minds are not yet tamed to be maturity, and then practice methods of the actual path, and then an explanation of subsidiary aspects of of the path. The second section delineates the practice sadhana of the complete and authentic stages of path to full awakening, from taking refuge and generating bodhicitta to dedication of merit, and then the recitation of auspicious verses at the end. The third section explains in succession of the preliminary practice, the actual practice, and then the concluding practice. The preliminary practice is further divided into three subsections, and then the actual practice of Trekcho and the concluding practice of Togo are included in that part. This teaching is explained in three sections, each of which has three subdivisions. As such, this teaching cycle is known as the Great Chetsun's Profound Essence of Vimalamitra in three sections. The first year after I arrived in Larangar, before I completed my Nongdro practices, I still needed to finish some mandala offerings. But then at that time, Pontsuk Rinpoche gave the Chetsun Nyingtig teachings to a very small group of practitioners who completed their Nongdro practices. At that time, when I heard that Pontsuk Rinpoche is about to give such a profound teaching, I personally went to Rinpoche and asked him whether I could attend his teachings, and I would definitely complete my Nongdro practices. But Pontsuk Rinpoche told me very kindly, saying that, well, everybody included in this group to receive the Chetsun Nyingtig have all completed their Nongdro practices. So maybe you should just complete your Nongdro, and then later I will give the teaching again and you can receive it. At that time, I was very saddened because when I first came to Larangar, I really wanted to receive the Dharma teachings. I remembered that it was a noontime there at the gate of Pontsuk Rinpoche's house. There were no guards at the front gate, so I went there myself, and then I made that request. And Pontsuk Rinpoche at the time didn't give the teachings at the shrine hall, rather he gave the teachings to about 50 people in his house, in his yard. So that's the first time, but I didn't receive it. And then later, Pontsuk Rinpoche did give the teaching again at Larangar, also abroad, so I received it a few times, and I am quite happy about that, and I'm quite fortunate to have received it. And Pontsuk Rinpoche now continued to say that, and now I'm going to explain this teaching by following a root text. First is to pay homage. I prostrate to the deity of self-occurring awareness. This means that the dharmata, or the true nature of your mind, is not a result generated by cause, not the Buddha arising from ordinary mind, and not the instruction based on scriptures. And these are the three features of the nature of our mind. By recognizing the true face of Rigpa, you pay homage to the deity of self-occurring awareness. Among the three sections of the text, the main body of the first has two subdivisions: the history of the pith instruction for the actual practice. And then the first subdivision tells how the great Chetsun gave his teaching and how Zhengyuan Khyentse Wangpo would uphold this teaching. And I have already covered this section in great detail during the empowerment this morning. I will not elaborate further on it here. Well, Pontsuk Rinpoche did give the empowerment earlier in the morning, but I couldn't get the recording until the very late time of completing this text. And then when I finally heard of the recording, there is nothing else that he talked about other than the text of the empowerment. So I didn't really include it here. And then Pontsuk Rinpoche, in fact, bestowed this empowerment twice in the United States. The first one in New York. At that time, I translated into Chinese and then into English. And then the second time was at Napa Valley. In the morning, he talked more in detail in the history. So whenever you have time, you should look into the history of Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism. I will not elaborate too much over here, and you should read into it if you have time, in terms of how the Chetsun Nyingtig was then put into words by by Chetsun Sangye Wangchu. Well, now, if you have time, you should do that. If you don't, because I understand that you're preparing for exams, you probably feel this unsettledness in your heart and feel quite anxious. But don't worry, just chant more of the Padmasambhava mantra. I'm sure you will be able to get 100%. I will also chant it for you. All of you will get it perfect.
Kirga nanchi ralung chikba chapum solen roba chur sho